Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Denny from TDB bringing you guys episode 113.
I think that's right, yeah.
I think that's right.
Good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And today we have another young raw, also from Tea Urchin. This one is the Gaoshan Zhai?
Yeah. Zhai means village.
Spring 2014. So this is still nice and fresh.
Yep.
When it comes to this sort of a thing. So
yeah. And
how much of this did you get?
I bought a 30-gram sample of this guy.
Got it. Okay.
So I've been drinking through a number of the Tea Urchin productions, and as usual, I've been a bit slow at bringing them onto the show.
Mm-hmm.
But this has been definitely one of my favorites of the 2014 harvest. I would say this and the Shikong were my favorite. So you can have a smell.
Yep. Let's see what's so different in here. Smells great. I gotta get me, man, these Gaiwans are gnarly. They have been used a lot. Holy. I also noticed that James gets progressively just get these like teeth stains. That, like, you can tell like like a month by month how long it's been since his teeth have been.
I will tell you what we will not do. We will not get a close up for you guys.
Pretty funny. Yeah, the doctor and the dentist will always ask me, "Do you drink coffee or tea?" Yes. A lot? Yes. Much more of a fuller, rounder, full-bodied smell, whatever that means. I don't know, just more.
There's like a depth to the aroma. Yeah.
Yeah, less sweet smelling.
More like a. Yeah, it's kind of tricky to describe, right?
Yep.
So like a deep mountain. I don't know.
Stuff. Je ne sais quoi. That's French for whatever.
Yeah,
so
whatever,
again,
bro.
We were doing one steeping and then straight into it. One, I think that's cool if the materials is sufficient to do it with, because it lets us taste a really light steeping, which I actually have been enjoying, especially these raws. So
yeah, and you can see the clarity of the
it's really nice.
It's gorgeous.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Really nice, sweet front. Has a really sweet something happening. Candy sweet. I don't know, 2/3 of the way in there, I think.
Yeah. I think on the site, Eugene, I think, who wrote the description, who's the owner of Tea Urchin, described it as like a very clear sort of like stages to this tea. It's like the first stage, it's like this, and then the second stage, it's sort of this other thing. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think this is definitely a tea that you should pay attention to, especially the form of how it goes down into your throat and into your chest. Like you said, the body is good, and it has a very, there's a crispness to its a crispness, not a Christmas to the taste, a crispness that's like very specific. And comparing it to the Yiwu Beauty from last month, I'd say it has a more of a distant feel to it overall, a little bit more aloof, but there's more there in terms of like substance, I feel like.
Interesting. That sweetness is just so upfront, I think. It's almost saccharine sweet. I don't know. For me, I'm getting this very vibrant, middle tongue, sugar sweetness that I think is tasty, although it's powerful.
And
I'm having a hard time placing the... Yeah, there's this kind of like wonderful, lasting sweetness. It's still light.
Yeah, I'm gonna push it a little bit, just kind of like I did in the third infusion of the last
Yeah.
one, just to see what we can get out.
This is another tea where I'm not tasting the petroleum, raw, dank, basementy stuff I'm used to tasting, interestingly enough. It's still there. It's definitely still there. I think if I had a blind tasting, it would still fit in the raw category. Which is fun, by the way. Do that. It's also really fun with beer.
What if you combined beer and tea? Would you be able to tell the difference?
Probably not. After,
Yeah,
after enough
that's
of
true.
both, I have no idea what would happen. He'd probably just be exploded.
Yeah.
I think this is PBR, guys. The liqueur is getting nice and dark now. You can just tell by virtue of watching it pour. It's a little bit more viscous, a little bit thicker.
Mhm.
Nice yellow. Yep. There's a nice minerally saltiness to it that I like. I think that actually brings the flavors out even more.
The body is definitely a little bit astringent. Still not particularly astringent at all.
Not at all. Not that I get, at least. It's really smooth. For what it is and how young it is, I'm surprised.
Yeah, and for this tea now, I'm starting to get a little bit of that throat taste. If you just, I feel the liqueur kind of moving down your throat. And interestingly enough, and I'm only reminded of this, I've had a couple sessions with this, on this session, is the contrast kind of reminds me a little bit of high mountain Taiwanese tea in some sense, like just like that crisp clarity, a little bit of that sweetness is kind of like, I don't know, Shanli Shi or one of them guys.
I completely agree, and so this tastes like a young Pu'erh in the sense that it's got the brightness, the crispness, the sweetness. Not as much of the earthiness has developed yet, as much of the woodiness or the vegetal aspects, at least for some of these raws. But yet, at the same time, this is not astringent, it's not harsh, it's not bitter. And we're using a lot of leaf here. Great leaf quality.
You want to have a smell?
Big leaves. Little...
The smell's changed a little bit.
Minerally, a little chlorine. Yeah, it's a weird
Interesting.
one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's almost like when I smell stuff, I get like an image, and I'm like, I'm in a pool right now. Why? You know, and it's the chlorine. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't make the rules. I just play the game. Cheers. Cheers to that. Dropping knowledge. It's still incredibly light. I think it's not, it's not, so for how much tea we're using, it's not syrupy, it's not, the texture-wise,
Yeah. Interestingly, I think this is probably the most viscous of the teas.
Yeah, it is, but even then, it's still light.
Let's do one more.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Really nice sweetness. Hints of a little bit of like kind of that honey vibe again. I'm not getting much fruit out of this. It's more of that kind of floral sweetness.
And how would you compare this tea to the Yiwu Beauty, the tea we had last time? Do you think this is also a tea that you would recommend to beginners, or do you think this is more of a intermediate / expert level tea?
I think this tea is absolutely great for anyone. It's the irony of not knowing how to place teas is that usually is a sign that for me at least, that it's interesting that I like it. So for me, I'm in that category more with this, which I would put it as sort of the more quizzical, you call it advanced sort of, I guess, for drinkers like that. But I think there's a lot of nuance to this tea that might not have been there yet for the other tea that we had. For the Tea Urchin tea.
I think that's well said, because I think that's more or less what I would say. I would say you could definitely enjoy this tea if you hadn't drank hardly any teas or raw pu'ers before.
Right.
But I feel like there's a lot of subtlety, especially in the form of like the throat feel and stuff like that, that would be just a little bit lost on someone that was new to tea, whereas the Yiwu Beauty is a bit more, its appeal is more, it's more like just more floral and sweet, just upfront about it. And the qualities of this tea are more aloof or distant.
I also think that one of the beauties of this tea is that it's evolving more as we drink it. And so the stages piece, I'm actually getting a little more of that now. A little bit more of the gasoline-y, charcoal flavors. A little more peaty.
Yeah, a little bit of astringency has creeped in, and that is because I'm brewing this extremely heavy.
But hardly, though.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
I mean,
steepings are going maybe 10 seconds, let's say.
The last one was probably like 30 or 25.
So, and that's a lot of leaf, small Gaiwan.
Yeah.
And yeah, nice and smooth.
Yeah, and it's still maintained. It hasn't become nasty or anything like that. Just a little bit of astringency creeps in. And if you guys remember back to when we did that Da Yuling episode where we brewed that super heavy with like all that stuff, and there was hardly any bitterness or astringency to it. It was just really delicious.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded of that here. And I don't know how this tea would react if we tossed twice the amount of leaf in here and brewed it for 2 minutes. It probably wouldn't do that well, but it'd be interesting.
So speak to this now, but I have more of that lasting raw mouth taste now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you just did. So that kind of thing in the back of your throat.
Do you consider that a plus or a minus?
I think it's a plus because it wasn't there at first. It's evolving, you know, and the subtleties of this tea are coming out and changing. So I'm enjoying this a lot. I think this will change over time as we continue to drink it, and I think I'll also be curious to see how it changes over time in terms of if you would store it or not.
Yeah, I think this might be a little bit more storable. I think the body, it's light in some senses, but I think the body is always pretty consistent. And I don't know how it would do. It's not like the first tea I would choose to store just because it is so damn delicious right now that I would be tempted to drink it. But I would be curious to see what this tea tasted like in 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
If folks wanted to learn more about tea storage,
they should come check us out on tdb.org. We've written a few articles on tea storage and like all the different trains of thought there. There's a lot of different schools of thought when it comes to Pu'erh storage. So yeah, go check us out at tdb.org and go into that Pu'erh section, and there's a few articles that might hit your interest.
like all of our stuff.
Follow us.
Follow it if you.
Sam.
What's the exact handle? It's at tdb.org.
Yeah, tdb.org. Yeah.
For Instagram, check us out there.
Follow us on Twitter.
Do all that cool stuff. Comment, subscribe, and until next time, guys. Cheers.